And we're live!
Hello everyone, and welcome to a very spoilerific episode of Those Aren't Biscuits. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Cadotte, and with me as always is the Mad Titan himself, Owen Adams. How you doing, Owen?
It's interesting you say that, because actually, you remember when we did the get-rich-quick schemes? My plan for you was next going to be that you would assemble the Infinity Stones and destroy half of all life in the universe. We were going with that. That was going to be the next big thing.
Do you think that would have got us rich?
You'd have some ethical complaints. Well, how much do you reckon one of those gems is worth? We could have sold them afterwards.
Yeah, fair enough. It's like, hey, do you want the thing that just destroyed your life as you know it? Here, pay me for it.
Yeah, much sentimental value. It reminds me of the day my wife and child died. Why not? I think that would work.
Like, all right, sad sack. Just
fine, I'll go sell these gems elsewhere then.
Yep. Okay. So just to let everyone know, if you haven't watched this show before, this is a pop culture live stream that we do once a week, where we talk about everything from music to movies to comic books to television and everything in between. And we do it with your input. If you want to talk to us about it, if you want to ask us questions, whatnot, go feel free. And we do the whole thing while playing a video game, which is a good time.
We're doing Warframe
this week
today.
We are playing...
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we're playing Warframe today.
I figured what we do, I don't know if you want to do anything more involved, but I think what we do is we just, if you want to invite me, I'll join your party, and then you could just pick whatever missions you want to do, because I think I'm a little further along, and then we'll just, pick some excavation or things, to play through, and,
Sure.
just some lengthier missions and just blast away.
That sounds like a plan to me. But yeah, as you might see with our title, we have a plan today. It won't be our typical show.
Doesn't matter who we are.
All right. But we are going to be talking about Infinity War. Avengers: The Infinity War. Or is it just Infinity War?
I believe it's just Infinity War, though the comic was called The Infinity War.
Yeah.
Although that particular comic was actually the sequel, wasn't it? I believe Infinity Gauntlet was the first one.
Mm-hmm. But oddly enough, they end very similar.
Yes.
Which we'll all get into. But we warned you in the title, but I'll give you another warning now. We do not hold back on spoilers. In fact, that's generally how we talk about movies that we've seen and all that fun stuff.
Yes.
So yeah,
let's make this as clear as humanly possible. We're talking about Infinity War. We are not restraining ourselves in any way. If you have not seen it, do not and you want to see it, do not stay and watch this show, as much as that kills us to say.
Right. We fully understand if you guys are, upset with hearing spoilers and whatnot, but this is how we do things here, and yeah.
Hello in the chat, by the way.
We will not hold that against you.
Hello to Fuzzy, who is not staying because of spoilers, fair enough. Hello to Tiny Beth Secret, who says that the bot purge must have unsubscribed them. The bot purge might have caught you, might not have caught you. The bot purge does go back and forth a bit. And hello to Mr. Derpington, who says, hi again, Owen and John. Sorry that I haven't been watching. That's okay, don't worry.
Hey, that's alright.
Yep. So do you want to invite me to the party? We'll get into a mission, and then we'll get into Infinity
I did send
War.
you a invite.
Oh, I see it. I think. Hooray! And my cat's shouting at me like, no, don't.
Yay.
I didn't see it! What are you spoiling it for me for? Cats like the Avengers too. Particularly Black
bastard.
Panther.
Dumb.
I know. But also in keeping with cats, because they'd be like, human, no. Human, no. Human, no. Looks like me. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Teddy Bear Secret says her and Ronald can go do their own podcast. I'd listen to that.
I would listen to that. Meow. 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 Meow.
Yeah. No, it would just be an hour of...
Yep. Right. How many
Hello to
vents
Savannah,
are
how
in
you
this
doing?
place? But Alright, so this is an assassination, so let's just go kill something.
That's pretty easy. Let's go kill things. So, we watched a little film called Infinity War.
Alright, one,
Infinity
two,
War
three.
is a first-person shooter on the Xbox and PlayStation 4, in which stars Kit Harington as the leader of the opposing SDF forces in a futuristic space military shoot. Oh, I've gone and confused it
Warfare.
for Call of Duty Infinite War. Sorry.
Alright, we gotta hit these at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought we'd get that out of the way nice and early. It had to be done. My cat's actually standing on my hand right now. Okay, so let's keep it simple. This is the third Avengers film. We've both seen it now. Yep. Basically nice and... My cat is basically walking all over me while I'm trying to keep it simple. What did you think of it? In terms of, did you like it? You liked it. Alright, tune in next week when we'll be talking about...
No, I fully enjoyed it. I'm not, but I will say right now, it was not a perfect film. There are grumbles to be had,
and we will get into that.
Yes,
definitely, when we go into it in more detail. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Tiny Bit Secret says, no one has ever heard of this film. It made like £60. Tiny indie film. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
little feature.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where we try to give credit to the little guys, just we want them to get their time in the sun.
Absolutely. No, so I liked it too. I think right off the bat, I think one thing I want to say is it is an achievement in itself that this movie is not a shit show.
Yeah.
That
I concur.
It kind of reminds me of when the first Avengers came out, and you kind of thought Six Heroes was going to be a shit show.
Right.
And it's not. And now they've kind of managed it with, what is it, like 40?
Yeah, it's kind of a ridiculous amount. And in fact, like, even though it works, I think it absolutely works. That's also the source of one of my complaints.
Right.
I guess I can say it right now, is there are... you definitely get the feeling that they prioritize some stories over the others.
Sure, and I have a theory about this.
Honestly, the ones that you didn't expect either. Like, for me, I didn't expect them to...
I think this is way more of a Guardians movie than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's intentional. So my theory is, I don't think Avengers 4 is going to be anywhere near as much of a crossover movie as this was. I think if there's
a very clear reason why that.
Sure, but if you look at all the characters who make it out alive and all the characters who don't, the ones who are left are the cast of the first Avengers movie, basically, plus a few others. And so I think Avengers 4 isn't going to be a crossover movie in the same way. And so what it kind of lets them do is get rid of a few people without... It still feels like there were stakes and things like that, but it kind of disguises the fact that actually none of the Avengers were lost, if you know what I mean. None of that core Avengers team.
And I have a theory about that as well, but we'll get into that one.
Sure we will.
So should we do this our typical way where we just kind of start going through the plot?
I do feel obliged to mention, after ignoring her for a little while, my cat has now sat down on me, rested her paw on my arm, and every time I go a few moments without acknowledging her, she's slowly digging her claws into my flesh. just to put the extent with which she is not happy that I'm not paying attention to her.
Right.
But no, okay, so yeah, let's do it. Let's go through the movie. We'll do it.
So, let's see here. It starts out, basically where Thor, Ragnarok's ends.
Yes, it starts out changing Thor Ragnarok's bittersweet ending into a bitter one.
Yeah, a very bitter ending. So I don't know if you've all seen Ragnarok. You know how at the end, like, there's this idea, like, oh well, you know what, it's a change, a status, but we all have hope. We're together, the Asgardians. We're a people. We're a strong people, and we're gonna move on together. Nah, fuck it. They're all dead.
Right.
It basically starts out with Thanos destroying that ship.
And while it's off screen, we have to assume that basically, like, some major supporting characters are also dead. Like, I assume, like, the Valkyrie, I forgot her name, Korg, they must be presumed dead at this point, right?
Right. They're presumed dead, but at the same time, I think there's enough to suggest that maybe there's not, because we didn't see them die,
Right.
And so, who knows? It's a certain thing that can be easily explained away, like, they hopped off onto a different ship, or something like that, right? So we don't really know
Yeah.
what happened to them, but who we do know dies in this first opening scene is one Mr. Loki Odinson.
Yeah.
Dead. Way dead.
Doesn't last
real
long.
Dead.
But you know what I like? I like that before they die, because Tom Hiddleston's talking about that like he's properly gone,
Yeah.
And I think most people seem to think that the ones who evaporate might be coming back, the ones who didn't won't. I don't know. I feel like depends on how they do it, but they could bring him back. They could bring any of these people back without too much trouble. However, they're planning to bring everybody else back, but before he goes, they do actually resolve his big question. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, the big thing with Loki is, does he actually care about Thor, right? That's what that character's about. Is there really brotherly love there? And I would say they answer that pretty definitively, really, don't they?
Yeah, I would say so.
I was going to say, he doesn't, just to really throw you off then and be like, what?
Right. Alright, here, so... Just real quick, we got some chat. Best Secret says, the biggest letdown is that at no point do RDJ or Benedict Cumberbatch say, no shit, Sherlock, to each other. That's a shame. Derpington, we're gonna get all to that.
Yeah. We will be getting to each other.
Yeah.
And then,
don't spoil our spoilers.
do you know what else I think they get out of the way nice and... Like, I'm glad they killed Loki off so quickly. Not that I wouldn't have enjoyed Loki for a little bit longer, but, you pick whatever missions we do, I don't really mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it really does get the stakes up nice and early, because he dies, and he doesn't die in, like, some off-screen hasn't he dies. He dies in quite a brutal way, and quite a sudden, immediate death, Mm-hmm. With no...
Yeah, it ain't pretty.
No question.
He gets his throat crushed.
Right, and no question as to whether or not he's actually dead or not. It's asking me to vote. Just accept. There we go. That's fine. Yeah, he gets absolutely killed. They also get the Hulk versus Thanos fight done.
Right.
Because like everybody, I think everybody was assuming that would be like at the end of the movie, like the end of Ragnarok or the end of, every movie with the Hulk in. The Hulk comes in and fights the big bad guy for a bit.
Right, and like, I think it was really, really smart of them to do that, because what you get, actually, is a really cool scene where Loki actually takes on the presence of the viewer, or the comic fan, right? Where it's, like, oh, well, they have Hulk,
Yeah, he
like
says the movie
from
the first film. He said it.
Like he even busts out the line too, where he's like, oh, we have a Hulk,
just like the movie.
And Hulk comes, it's a cute scene, like, and but Thanos just kind of hands Hulk's ass to him, basically. Like,
right.
Oh, that's cute.
And then you know right off the start physically where the situation is with Thanos, and then you know.
Right.
You immediately know because Hulk is like a.
Oh, Jesus.
Hulk is like a benchmark, you know what I mean? Oh, it's one of these life support missions. These are a pain. Have you done one of these yet?
I don't know what that means. No, I don't.
Okay, so we've got to... The idea is we've got to distract... Okay, maybe not. Yeah, we've got to stay alive as long as we can. But the life support's running out. Yeah, when life support runs out, we run out. She's going to beam down canisters of life support to open, but you don't want to open them too soon. They give you about 20%. Okay. And enemies are going to drop modules of life support too. So that's basically it. Survive until the game tells you you've survived long enough, and keep getting life support. The life support canisters, when they've beamed in, they'll appear on your map with a yellow icon. So get to the yellow icons and then activate them, but don't activate them if we're above like 80% or 70%. Otherwise, it'll waste some. There you go. That's the system. So yeah, Hulk fights Thanos. Hulk loses. And then he basically, like, Thor gets to watch everyone he loves who's still alive die. And
kills Heimdall.
Kills Heimdall. But Heimdall just manages to send Hulk away.
Okay, and this brings up another gripe of mine I have. And don't worry, I promise that I did like this movie, alright? I don't want to be Mr. Naysayer, like, this sucks. We should probably get that canister. We're at 60.
Yep, I got it.
Oh, okay. This is an issue that happens, and it was something I actually spoke to Owen out before I saw it, where one of my biggest issues with... Oh, I hate those fucking things. The little shield generating guys.
Oh, yeah.
My biggest issue with the first Avengers, that oddly enough Ultron did not have as much of, is very convenient things happening.
See, I know what you mean. But they don't bother me when they're part of the setup as much. Do you know what I mean?
I guess.
I can let them go for that. But I know what you mean.
But at the same time, what happens in later involving the same thing is very convenient.
Yes, and one of the difficulties is the first Thor movie established fairly solidly that to get in and out of places like that, Thor travels to places using the Bifrost, and it's the only way to get in and out of these realms. And then every other movie goes, oh no, you can do it like this. Actually, it's really easy. Yeah. It's like hopping on
you can fly there.
It's like hopping on a train. Like...
Right. But what Heimdall does is actually something that... What kind of bugs me about it is that it is something that we've never seen done before.
Right.
Because we know that the sword controls the Rainbow Bridge or the Bifrost.
What's actually very weird about that?
At no point...
Sure, yeah, carry on. I'll let you finish.
But at no point do they suggest that the sword itself is the Bifrost.
What's really weird is they do actually establish that concept later in the movie for a different weapon.
Yeah.
Oh god, we've got to get the next canister.
Oh, yeah. You on it?
Yeah, alright, I'll go get it.
Alright, well actually I'm pretty close. I got it.
Are you?
Oh, no, but you're closer. So what happens is that at the last minute, right before Heimdall bites it, he summons the last bit of Bifrost energy still contained within the sword and sends Hulk back to Earth.
I guess my takeaway from that scene, if I was to play devil's advocate and defend it, and for me it doesn't bother me too much because I think it's just a small thing, But if I were to defend it in a little more sense, I might suggest that that's the kind of thing Heimdall can do when literally... Because Heimdall also, they often suggest that he is in some sense embodied with the power, right? You know, he has the power to see things and things like that. Like, I didn't see that scene as being overly about the sword as much as it is about Heimdall's dying, and this is something that, like, normally you wouldn't do. Because it's or dangerous, so it's the last of your power. But
that'd be
but when he's dying anyway.
Except, then how the hell was Scourge running the sword in Ragnarok?
That's true. Well, sure. Sure, but Scourge didn't have never had the sight powers. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Which does raise the question
of we can go to the extraction.
Yeah, we can. Okay. If I can actually find my way to the vent. There we go. Oh, good God, finding it.
Another life support capsule.
Where is it? It, like, the icon just disappeared on me.
Are you sure we can go? I got mine.
Yeah, no, I see. There, on my screen, there's a green... It says, get to the extraction point. Alright, well, okay, I'm going.
Come on, I'll lead you there.
Okay, I see it now. It's there.
Okay, I'll head there. I'll wait for you here. I'm at the extraction point. I'll wait for you.
Ow!
So yeah, Hulk is sent to Earth, and everybody dies on the ship, pretty much.
Yeah, he watches it blow up in a nice purpley...
And I would say at this point, you're not even entirely sure Thor survived if it wasn't for the fact that you'd be almost sure he wouldn't be killed off this early on. Like, they don't really make it... They don't... This is not a film that goes out of its way to comfort you that people are okay.
Right. Okay, where the hell am I going? How far
We're
away
also
is this thing?
extracting soon, I think, if you... Okay, anyway.
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool, let's do it. So, Hulk goes to Earth, where he crash lands pretty much in the Sorcerer's Sanctum, right? The New York Sanctum? Have I missed a bit? I feel like I've missed a bit.
No, no, there is something else. There's a reason why Tony's there.
I don't think he is there yet, is he?
Maybe not.
I'd see it again.
Yeah.
There's a lot to take in this film.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that's been on my mind as well.
But basically, Hulk arrives on Earth, and he goes to tell... he tells Doctor Strange that Thanos is coming, and he's coming for the Infinity Stones, basically.
Right.
Tony Stark is there. I don't remember why he's there, but he is there at some point. And then you've got the Hulk, Tony Stark, and Doctor Strange, and Wong is his name there. Yep. And Hulk basically says, there's this guy called Thanos, and he's basically killed everybody, and he's coming.
Yeah.
He's coming here. And Doctor Strange explains what the Infinity Stones are. And the Hulk's like, yeah, this is a really big deal. We need to assemble the Avengers. And Tony Stark's like, well, so,
yeah, about that.
Turns out the Avengers... And, you know, I have to say, I really like Bruce Banner's line here when he says, all I know is it's bigger than who you're not talking to right now.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of a nice way of putting it. Like, it's just...
This is gross. What the hell is this shit?
I don't know. Oh, it's an assassination mission. Is it an assassination or... Oh, no, it's a defend. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
I like these, because I like ones where you can stick around and do them a little bit longer, too, because we could just sit and rock one for a bit, you know?
Yeah. Hey, King Trilogy, welcome.
Hey, King
Mr.
Trilogy.
Drippington says... Mr. Drippington has some thoughts on the Heimdall thing, if you want to read those.
Heimdall can see through all 9 realms, and maybe when they say the line about their forefathers, they gain ability from their ancestors. That makes sense. We're pretty good. We're doing Infinity War spoilers. So, Doctor Strange at some point explains what the Infinity Stones are, and that he reminds them that he has one and that he has to protect it at all costs. And around about this time, a great big fucking spaceship arrives in New York. Do you know what? It's the kind of scene you
It's
normally
a flying
get.
London Eye.
It is. It's the kind of scene you normally get at the end of an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And the trailer for this movie is kind of sneaky, because the trailer for this movie heavily implies that Thanos comes with it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And he doesn't. He doesn't.
No.
Thanos doesn't come to Earth at any point, I don't think.
It's actually one of the things that I actually really liked about how they depicted Thanos, because he is incredibly powerful. He's
Right.
very powerful. He's scary. He's big bad, but he's not omnipotent.
Yes.
And he actually has people who kind of do his dirty
Right.
work for him, and they have a name, the Children of Thanos or some shit like that.
Do you know, I think at some point also, I don't know exactly when the Guardians get involved, but let's not try and do it exactly as the scenes appear and just go as the kind of narrative appears. So, this giant spaceship appears on Earth. The first person to see it, I think, is... Well, okay, so they head out into the street, everyone's running. Tony tries to encourage Doctor Strange to go the other way, but he chooses not to. They go to fight, basically. And this giant machine's come down with two of Thanos' henchmen, basically a heavy one, and basically it's Vegeta and Nappa, which I couldn't stop thinking about. It was so like that scene at the end of the Saiyan saga. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, they just yeah, they just like walk out. There's, you know, they look at Tony and Kakarot.
Right.
But it very much looks like that.
And at the same time, Spider-Man also
he shows up.
Do you know, I really like the way Spider-Man gets involved in this whole plot, which is everyone else has got like a complicated thing. They intercept Thor's spaceship. The Hulk goes to warn Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is keeper of the... Spider-Man looks out of the window and he sees something going on in his neighborhood. So he's like, oh, let's go.
Well, I gotta take care of that.
He also, like, one of the best lines in this entire movie is when he's like, okay, Mr. Stark, what's the story here? And he goes, these guys are from space. They're trying to steal a necklace from a wizard. Okay.
Like so much of the movie is kind of that, where
Right,
it's like they wanted to do a quick rundown of what's going on, but they also don't want to spend too much time on it. So there's a few scenes where it's like, well, okay, this guy, he's an Asgardian. They killed his ship. He's on our ship now. Now we have to go stop Thanos.
Right.
All right, you know.
So Spider-Man, Tony Stark, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange fight the henchmen. Bruce Banner attempts to join the fight, but we reveal that he's actually having trouble producing the Hulk at the moment, which feels like a logical extension of kind of where they were in Ragnarok, I think.
Right, and I'm trying to remember, like, at the end of Ragnarok, don't we see Banner, like, on the ship with them?
Yes.
We don't see the Hulk. We see Banner, right?
Right. And there's also...
So he was perfectly okay turning into the Hulk during that fight.
Yeah, I guess. But if you think about it, everybody's already dead, and then Loki says we have a Hulk. So the Hulk clearly hasn't been there for the majority of that fight. So actually it is kind of implied. You know what I mean?
I guess. And I guess my take on it does... There's some things in this movie, oddly enough, and you wouldn't expect it from like a big budget movie like this, requires a little work on the viewer.
Yes.
Like, they don't spell everything out.
No.
They leave a little bit to the imagination.
Well, I think this is actually
which I appreciated.
It's actually a smarter movie than you might think in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not a smart movie, if you know what I mean, but it's
right. It's not some, you know, it's not a Darren Aronofsky, you know, Requiem for a Dream bullshit, you know. It's
right. Absolutely.
You know, but there are some moments where you have to kind of think a little bit deeper than maybe you normally would.
So Spider-Man goes off to try and save Doctor Strange, who starts getting like the magic user henchman gets the better of Doctor Strange, and tries to take him aboard the ship. He does take him aboard the ship. The ship starts leaving. Iron Man and Spider-Man go to try and retrieve Doctor Strange. Iron Man gets aboard and tries to send Peter home by basically bundling him into a suit he controls.
Yep.
Which Peter manages to avoid and also sneaks aboard. So at this point, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man are aboard a spaceship leaving Earth. Doctor Strange is a prisoner, and Wong has gone back to the Sanctum, and Bruce Banner, I believe, is still on Earth at this point.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty much. I don't think I've missed anything.
That.
And then we go to the Guardians, right? Mm-hmm. You take over for a bit. I'll let you explain the next.
Sure. Oh no, we don't go to the Guardians, do we?
I think we do.
I thought we would go to Scotland.
Oh, maybe because we are still dealing with the issue of. Oh, I don't know. I feel like we do the Guardians before that. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
do whichever
let's do
bit
the
you
Guardians
like.
anyways. It doesn't really matter. I guess that's something we should say. This movie is designed in a very sort of clever way.
Right.
At no point do all of the characters get together, right? There's a bit at the end where, you know, a lot of them do, which we'll get to, but really, everyone is kind of disjointed. No one is really coordinating.
Well, it just sort of happens to them.
Yeah, but they all the groups involved have their own theories about how they're going to handle Thanos.
Yeah. And they don't have an ability to coordinate. Some of them are off in space. Let's keep going for a bit.
Okay.
Some of them are off in space, some are doing other things. And I have to say, by the way, this also ties into why the structure of the film works. They treat groups like individual characters, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit like The Empire Strikes Back. There are characters, there are groups that stay together for the whole film. The Guardians are always together. Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange are always together.
Well, that's not true either, because we're about to get to why the Guardians split up.
Well, okay, yeah, but there are certain groups. So, like, they do merge and occasionally split. But I would say, like, Thor, Rocket, and Groot is a group. Peter Quill, Gamora, Drax, and Mantis are a group. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man are a group, and then Hulk and the rest of the Avengers, Captain America, Black Widow. You know what I mean? They are loose, and the groups don't stay completely fixed, but basically you have these groups that you can keep... and that is why the movie is not chaotic, by the way. They don't try and make each individual character have a path. Their paths are very much tied through their little groups, through their cliques.
Sure. So what we get here is, we get the Guardians, who are now with Thor, right? So they respond to a distress call from the Asgard ship, and they find Thor. Thor wakes up, explains to him what happens, and right off the bat, Gamora's like, "Oh shit, I know what this is," right? She knows what's up, and she realized that Thanos is on the move. He's no longer letting the Chitauri, do his job for him. He's not letting Ronan do the job for him. He's finally doing it himself. Yeah, he's on the move.
And of all the characters in this movie, she's the one who, quite rightly, knows what's going on, basically.
Right. So she's like, okay, we need to go. And the funny thing is, Thor has a bit of information as well, because he knows where the Reality Stone is, or the Aether.
Yeah, and this is the one that they go and give to the Collector at the end of Thor 2.
So he's like, we have to go to nowhere. The planet's built in the skull of a Celestial. So we have to go there. Or no, that's where Thanos is going. So they're like, okay, we have to go there. He's like, no, we don't. We don't go there. We have to go to this other planet, which I can't remember the name.
Oh, it's got a really stupid name.
Yeah. It's very
it's kind of musical a little bit. It's got like a fla.
Right,
to it.
like I
you know what
said,
mean?
very Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Because he says he needs a hammer. The only way that he's going to be able to handle Thanos is he needs a hammer. And the only place he can get his hammer back is from this planet, from the dwarves who live there, and all this sort of stuff.
Right. It's the forge that made
which is
the
a
hammer.
fun little twist later.
Yeah, it's the place where his original hammer was made, basically.
Right. So yeah, he's
it
like, we have to
makes
go there.
ultra powerful weapons. Mm-hmm. It's a space forge.
Right. So,
and they split up at this point.
Yeah,
Thor,
they split
Rocket,
up
and
because-
Groot go with. They basically go. The only reason they split up, I mean, narratively, it's to keep the groups coherent and to not crowd it. But
Right.
the only reason they split up in the story is because Rocket and Peter still have this ongoing rivalry about who's in charge.
yeah.
I do actually. I have to say, I think the Guardians are pretty well characterized here. This is actually one of the strengths of the
Yeah.
films, which is that, like, I think the Doctor Strange movie is okay. It's not one of my favorite Marvel movies, but I like it. But I like Doctor Strange in this movie possibly more than in Doctor Strange, and I feel the Guardians really come off well too. All except for Peter Quill, who's a little dumber than he normally is.
Yeah, he does some things that I feel later on are not very consistent with his.
Absolutely, but he does have some quite redeeming moments as well, I think.
Yes.
One in particular, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're thinking of the same one.
I think so.
But they go their separate ways. Groot goes with Rocket, because Groot should be with Rocket, really. That's very fitting. And so Thor, Groot, and Rocket are going to this space forge to make a new weapon. Which we'll get to later. And Gamora, well, the rest of the Guardians.
Yeah,
head
Gamora,
to,
Mantis, and Drax.
Right, they head to
all
nowhere.
Go to,
and their plan is to get the Infinity Stone, the next Infinity Stone, before
Thanos.
Yeah. And then we cut to Scotland, I guess, which is, well, at some point, where we find that, they did kind of hint at this at Civil War, but it still feels a little bit unestablished. But apparently, Vision and Scarlet Witch are in a relationship. I guess what kind of bugs me about this is I feel like the only reason they're really in this relationship is that exists in the comics.
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, they do hint at it in Civil War.
They do. But then also, in Civil War, they also beat the crap out of each other, so...
Right. But it's kind of funny, because they do play it up as, like, two teenagers sneaking off to meet each other.
Because both sides are still not talking to each other after Civil War.
Right, they're still not too thrilled with each other, you know?
Hello to Sinister Minister, how you doing? So yeah, they're in Scotland, and they are... We're doing Infinity War spoilers, everybody, so don't watch this if you haven't seen Infinity War yet.
Yeah.
So
don't get angry with us.
They're having a relationship. They're off talking about what's going on, and they're basically just talking about not very plot important stuff, except you know what I mean.
Well, it's actually very sweet because what they're talking about, honestly, is being done with it all.
Right, and putting the differences aside and being a couple, and if that means leaving the Avengers or, and staying together. And it is kind of nice. But then they go outside for a walk and see that the world's under attack and immediately get attacked by the other henchmen. The less memorable ones, I think, actually. Because I remember these scenes, but I don't remember much about these two.
Well, the funny, they all have names, but they never say them.
Yeah, definitely.
You died?
Yeah, I did. I was looking at the chat at the time.
Sure. Blame the chat.
I usually do. And they're here for, we haven't mentioned, but in case you don't remember, Vision has an Infinity Stone in his head too. So there are two on Earth.
Just jammed right into his forehead.
Yeah. And they want that. They are attacked by Thanos' other henchmen. They don't fare that much better than the other group. But at the last minute, they are rescued by
Which might be one of the coolest intros in these Marvel movies. It is such a... It's almost like a Western, how they introduce Captain America. Because I love the scene. I absolutely love it. It's so... Like, Captain America has the best intros in all of the, like, Avenger movies.
Right. Even when he
like
was a
his
little,
intro in...
even when he was a little weed.
Right. His intro in like the first Avengers is by far like the highlight of that movie for me. You know, where the old man stands up and to Loki and he's like,
right.
Whatever, and Loki's
and
about to kill
everybody's
him.
good in that scene as well. Because when Tony Stark comes in later, it's a good scene.
Right, yeah, because it plays the AC/DC.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, like, in this one, same thing. He gets such a cool intro. So, yeah, what happens is, like, Scarlet Witch and Vision both get kind of beaten down to submission, and they're about to take the stone, and also you just see this train roll by, because they're in a train station, and you look through the cars as they're passing by, and you see there's a silhouette, right? And it's no, will you get up here and help me?
All right. That's what Captain America says, and they're like, Jesus, Cap, calm it down.
So, yeah, the train passes, and it's just Steve Rogers standing there in his most badass pose, and he's like, all right, let's go. And then the rest of the Renegade Avengers show up, so Falcon shows up, and then
it's a nice
Black
little battle
Widow
too.
shows up. Yeah.
The movie is full of nice little battles that would do well as almost the climax to another movie.
Yeah. Like, there's no real kind of boring fights or like action scenes.
And I can't say that about a lot of films, even Marvel movies.
Right.
Tiny Bad Secret says, actually Edinburgh train station too. It is, yeah. That's the actual train station.
All right, let's extract.
Sure. While you're picking another mission, I just have to go grab something. I'll be back in a moment. You keep entertaining. Sure. Carry on with the plot. I'll be back in a second.
Right. Oh, nice. Tiny Beth Secret says, I was so excited to have been there. That's cool. Was Vision there? So we get this fight going on, and they do enough to scare off Thanos' henchmen, right? And they discuss what's going on, and they come up with their plan. And their plan is they have to either destroy or extract the stone from Vision's forehead, right? Because they can't let Thanos get a hand on it. And they, rightfully so, determine that the only place they can really do this is Wakanda. And if you've seen Black Panther, you realize that, yeah, that's true, because that's the most technologically advanced city on the planet in the Marvel Universe. So of course they gotta go to Wakanda. Yeah.
Well, I didn't extract, apparently. I thought if one person extracted, it would extract me as well. It didn't, so now
you're
I'm
stuck
like...
there.
Yeah, pretty much.
You can just die if you want.
Yeah, I can, but if I die, I won't get any of my rewards I just built up.
No.
So I'm just gonna go to...
wait around.
Yeah, I'll go to extraction. Sorry, what did I interrupt?
Oh, no, I'm just explaining that after the fight, that group comes up with their plan. Right? They are going to...
Right.
They're going to try to extract the gem from Vision's forehead.
And they have, I believe... Oh, right. And they basically go back to Avengers HQ and meet up with War Machine, right? And this is when they join up with Bruce Banner, and they basically pool what they know. Which is Thanos is coming, Vision has the Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
I think there
So
are kind of a
that-
few scenes we've skipped over around here, but nothing too important. I think,
Nothing
really.
too important. Like, so at this point, we now have our 4 paths
Right.
to the film.
Iron
We
Man,
have-
Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange are in space, heading towards Thanos, whether they like it or not. At this stage, the Guardians of the Galaxy, most of them are heading towards nowhere to try and get the Reality Stone before Thanos. Thor is off to make a new weapon with Rocket and Groot, and the remaining team of the Avengers from Civil War, their plan is to try and get the Mind Stone out of Vision's head without killing Vision before Thanos gets there, so they can destroy it. Those are basically
Now-
our plots, right?
So we do have a 5th path that is going to get introduced very quickly, because the next thing that happens is we go back to Gamora's team, Gamora and Peter Quill's team, right?
Yes.
And they are going to back to nowhere, and they show up, and the place is deserted, right? And
The Collector's in one of his boxes.
yep, the collector's in one of his boxes, and they're like, okay, well, what the hell happened here? Because, you know, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't look like the place has been destroyed. It just looks like it's been abandoned. And so they have their theories about what happened, and all of a sudden, and they're about to get the stone when Thanos shows up, right? Or no, Thanos is there.
They
Thanos-
arrive.
sorry.
They arrive, and as they arrive, they hear him currently sort of interrogating the Collector, who claims that he sold it.
Right.
So they come and they try and sneak up on him, but they also manage to sort of alert.
Right. We actually get some really funny bits because Peter Quill is still trying to establish himself as the captain.
Yes.
Like, he wants to be a leader, and he keeps on issuing commands and orders, and no one is listening to him. He's like, hey, go left, guys, go left. And everyone goes right. He's just like, come on. and he has that kind of mentality to, like, the whole movie, too, where he's just like, aw.
Yes.
We soon realize, though, that I'm going to pause for just a second real quick, because my roommate's moving through the house and they have not seen the movie.
Fair enough. I'll do the next bit then. I'm presumably they can't hear me.
Yeah, you do the next bit. Yeah.
So they try and sneak up on Thanos, and Gamora basically says to go for it. She's going to go and try and kill him before he can get the stone. And she charges, and she does, and she stabs Thanos in the neck, and it looks like he's going to die. And for a moment, you're like, wow, is this a bigger twist coming than we realized? My
Right,
brain's
you know.
running through, like, potential options as well. Like, I'm like, okay, is Gamora going to take the gauntlet?
Well,
I
I
didn't
had that thought for a second. I'm like, holy shit, really? They pulled this off?
Yeah,
And then I'm like,
then I got it.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
And then, in a fake out that I have to say, they pull very similar fake outs to this several times in the movie, and it kind of repeatedly works. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They basically reveal that Thanos has already got the Reality Stone, which means he gets to basically shape reality to his will.
Yep.
And well, he's just created a reality where they got there first, just to kind of see what they would do, really.
Right.
And he's already got the stone, and he just turns it around, and he basically shows them. Is it nowhere where they're at that is basically just ruined?
Yeah.
It's and he's
Yeah.
just devastated everything.
Yeah.
He's just destroyed everything. He basically takes.
Okay, so we did actually skip. We did skip a scene that's actually very important.
Oh, okay.
There's a flashback. Gamora has a flashback of when Thanos came to her planet and killed half of the population.
You're right,
And
and
that's
that
the
did
big
come
thing.
before this one because of the knife.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And we learned that that's the big point of Thanos, is he goes to planets and kills half of everyone there. Although he didn't give them that option on Asgard, but
No, but yes, his goal is to. His whole intention is he wants to remove half of all life in the universe because he doesn't believe that the universe is capable of sustaining as many living beings as there are, essentially. Now, a lot of people have said, when he gets the Infinity Gauntlet, why doesn't he just make there be twice as much food and stuff? And while I realize the answer to that is because then there wouldn't be a movie, I still don't think that's that useful a question. Because, I mean, there's so many ways around, like... He's obviously not a very sane person.
Right. Well, my thought is like, he might not be sane, but he's not dumb. Like, he's not dumb. And my thought wasn't, oh, make twice as much food. Mine was, you have the ability to warp reality how you see fit.
Right.
And basically create what you want. Why don't you just make twice as many planets...
But
for people to live on.
But also, what they also establish is that he's had this plan since before he had godlike powers, and nobody listened to him, and he was proven wrong. Well, not proven right, but he believes himself to be proven right. And so at this point, it's not about what's rational; it's about the compulsion to do the plan. And that kind of makes sense. That fits in well with what we got. But yeah...
So, okay, should we take this time to talk about Thanos?
Well, sure, although I would like to say one gripe I have, not with the movie itself, but I suppose it's my own little nitpick that I think is worth mentioning.
Okay, real quick, just, hello Cypress Ball, just real quick, we're talking about Infinity Wars with spoilers, so you're warned.
My one gripe that I do have a little bit with the whole setup, which is... And the setup is actually pretty good. He has to get 6 stones and combine them into one, and once he does, he's unstoppable. That's actually a very good setup for any movie. It works.
Yeah.
But I have to say, he was already unstoppable by the time he put the Reality Stone in. Like...
Yeah! he's kind of an asshole already, you know? Just
like what were they gonna do against the Reality Stone on its own?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That's the one weakness with the setup, I think. Like, he was already, like, unstoppably godlike. All they really do by stopping him getting the Mind Stone, and which they don't manage to do, spoilers, but all they could possibly achieve by that is slow him down.
Right.
But yeah, Thanos. So, motion capture character performed by Josh Brolin.
Yep.
A little bit different to how he was in Guardians, I think.
Yeah. Well, his look has changed dramatically since you first see him in Avengers.
Hello to Cypress Ball. We're talking Infinity War spoilers, hence the title of the episode. Yes, he looks different. Well, I mean, it isn't Josh Brolin in the Avengers, as far as I know. It's just some guy. Just some guy off the street. Want to be Thanos?
Pretty much.
Sure. But yeah, so it's...
Come on, you would say yes to that.
Yeah, sure. So he looks a bit different. He just is different to the way he is in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's almost a different Thanos, but his role
and really different from the comics as well. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't get into things like the Lady Death. They didn't make that his motivation, and I think.
Well, sure, but just like his personality is very different.
He's the Guardians of the Galaxy Thanos is way more like the comics one, I think. Yes, for sure.
So this is kind of what I want to say, like, about him. And it's just a quick thing. He may be the least evil villain that the Marvel Universe has ever seen, in a very strange way.
Right. I mean, he's still evil. It's worth mentioning.
Yeah,
he still wants to kill half of all life in the universe.
Right. But like, let's be honest. When he does that, spoilers. When he does accomplish that, he actually does it in a very like humane way. He doesn't like just
Right.
rip them to pieces or
And
or unduly suffer.
Right, I think that's a very significant part of the character. He is evil. He's evil and he's psychotic and he has no mercy, and what he wants to achieve is completely and totally maniacal. But he's not sadistic or cruel.
Right.
He exerts... but he exerts the force...
Nebula.
Sure. Sure. But he... Okay, he doesn't see himself as sadistic or cruel, maybe? I don't know. He's a tough character to pin down.
He is undoubtedly an evil character who has kind of philanthropic desires.
Right.
He fully believes, and he kind of accepts that he is like the bad guy. Like he accepts that what he's doing will not be looked upon fondly, but it's necessary.
Right. He believes he's the only person with the willpower to do the unpleasant thing that needs to be done.
Right.
Which is, of course, nonsense, but
right.
he's a maniac.
You can almost draw parallels to him and, like, the Manhattan Project scientists, right?
Right.
They know what they're doing is wrong.
But they want to end the war.
Right, because the outcome of a war without that end is unknown and possibly devastating. They're willing to become monsters to make it stop.
Right.
Which I really like Thanos in this. I really like how he's portrayed. I like the acting.
And
Josh
considering
Brolin,
before I
don't
saw
think
this,
considering
before I saw this, I thought he was going to be the weak link in the entire movie. Mm-hmm. But he's actually your narrative thread through the movie too. Well, it is kind of the Thanos movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because he gets more screen time than most of the heroes, really.
Yeah, and what's really kind of fascinating about him is I don't want to say fascinating about him, but was kind of clever, I guess, on the marketing department for this film is that all the trailers show Thanos as kind of like this sarcastic, snarky sort of character where, you know, he knows he's in control and he's kind of toying with everyone. But in the movie, he doesn't do that at all. He almost seems resentful. Or, not resentful, but, sad. He seems sad that he has to do this.
Right.
Like, even the little fights, you know, the little fights between other characters, it doesn't seem like he enjoys what he's doing in any way.
He doesn't seem like a person who enjoys violence.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why the flashback into Gamora and her childhood is very important. Mm-hmm. Scenes like him protecting her from seeing the death and things like that. Mm-hmm. And they do imply in the movie that he actually broke his rule for her, like she was supposed to be on the other half, do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, she absolutely does. He absolutely does. Like, he saw her and felt, like, sadness and sympathy for her and basically saved her from being killed, because she would have been killed. So he makes the exception of his balance thing for her.
And I have to say something else about Thanos. I know they've taken this from the comics. Oh, I failed. Fair enough. All that. I was hoping to get out with my rewards intact. I know they've taken it directly from the comics, but removing the whole Lady Death thing and just simplifying his goal to he wants to remove half of all life from the universe, that was his goal in Infinity Gauntlet, but with a lot of other stuff around it. Just making it down to that very simple goal makes it very easy for you to understand him in a way. And it lets you, it's a very simple way to understand a cosmic threat.
Like, Thanos in the comic is the ultimate, oh, I'm in the friend zone character.
Right.
Like, and which makes him, in the comics, Thanos is by far not relatable in any way, and he is completely reprehensible, and there's nothing redeeming about him in the comics because of his motivations.
But he does
But
get
in the
later
in the
on
movie,
he
though,
develops.
yeah, I guess a little bit.
By develops, I just mean they sort of make him nice, but
Right.
it's not plot development.
All right, so I'll pick the next one.
So, God, what are we doing now? How far were we? So Thanos.
Oh yeah, we got ways to go. We got to pick this up a little bit, I guess.
Thanos has the Reality Stone, and he decides to. I don't know where he's heading next. Oh, then we have. Oh yeah, he takes Gamora back onto his ship.
Yeah, and we actually get a moment because like Gamora had asked Peter to kill her if it ever looked like Thanos was going to take her.
This is Peter Quill's real standout scene, I think.
Yes.
She makes Peter swear on his mother that he will kill her if it looks like Thanos is going to capture her, because she knows where the Soul Stone is. And it's important that he doesn't find out where the Soul Stone is. And I have to say, it comes to it, as you know it's going to. As soon as she says that, you know that's where that's going.
Right.
After
It comes much
Thanos,
sooner than I thought it was going to be.
after Thanos turns Drax and Mantis into drapes,
Yeah.
which is very funny. I don't know if it's supposed
Sounds
to
kind
be.
of horrifying.
Yeah, but funny. Oh,
What are
God.
we supposed to do in the spy missions?
Oh, God, have you done this one? We've got to get data from these 3 different points, but if you once you get close to the data, if you trigger an alarm, they'll start wiping it.
Oh, good.
They are quite tricky. I'll take B.
All right, I'll go to A then.
So, basically, Quill, Gamora reminds Quill what he promised,
Yeah.
and Thanos is like, nah, you can't do it. And
Shit.
don't worry, you have
see
to be like within a room of them before they start wiping the data.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if you draw the alarms beforehand. When you get really close, they'll say, okay, don't draw their attention now, otherwise you'll screw up. So yeah, Thanos goes to capture Gamora. Quill basically is tormented over whether to fulfill his promise. And I have to say, I thought this was going to go the same way we'd seen scenes like this go in other movies, which was he wouldn't be able to do it, and it would be a source of tension for them later on. They don't do that. Quill keeps his oath. He pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
And, you know, fair play on him, because I think it was including that element of, like, swearing on his mother, you know? But, as I said, we'll see very similar fake-outs to this over and over again. Thanos has the Reality Stone. He just changes reality so this gun shoots bubbles! Which is adorable. And
he takes Gamora.
And he basically, reveals to Gamora that Nebula, Thanos has kidnapped Nebula on his ship. That's not really that hugely important, except to reveal that Nebula basically tells Thanos that, he takes from Nebula's memory banks that Gamora knows where the Soul Stone is. He knows that Gamora knows where it is. And he takes Gamora to, again, I'm not going to worry about chronology, I'm just going to stick with the threads while I'm on them. He takes Gamora to, a planet where the Soul Stone is. I don't think the actual planet is important. Suffice to say, it's very, very much like the kind of place you'd see in Dark Souls. It's clearly inspired by... Sorry, we found an article that said the Dark Souls influences on Infinity War are undeniable, and it was the most bafflingly crap article I've ever read. But, he takes Gamora to a planet where the Soul Stone is kept. And in keeping with it being the Soul Stone, the planet is kind of like there's a real supernatural vibe. It's all purple and stuff. Where they meet the keeper of the Soul Stone, essentially, sort of, the guy who guards, and he's basically there to tell them what they need to do to get the Soul Stone. And for some reason, it's the Red Skull, which, fair enough, I guess. I don't really know what
which one are you going for?
B.
Okay.
I don't really get what the whole point of it being the Red Skull was. I think it was just a case of, is there someone we could make it be at this point? Well, the Red Skull got shut off into space. Let's make it him.
Right.
That's it, right?
Pretty much. There's no real reason other than the fact that he was someone who attempted to get an Infinity Stone before and didn't have the will or power to wield it.
Right.
Which is fine, whatever. But that could have also been Ronan.
Yeah, there are lots of different people it could have been. But we haven't seen Red Skull in a while, so I think they would have thought it was more surprising, I guess. Because, I mean, it's fair to say I didn't see it coming. But I also wouldn't have seen it coming if Thanos had just turned into a haddock. I wouldn't have seen that coming either, you know? Just because I didn't see it coming, it doesn't mean it was necessarily good. It doesn't really bother me. But it's so clear that the thinking behind it was, well, I guess it could have been... It might as well have been someone, you know? But you're right, it could have been Ronan, it could have been... could have been Stan Lee. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of...
Oh, that would have sucked.
Yeah! I'd have enjoyed that. For the wrong reasons. But, you know, it's fine. Strangely enough, not Hugo Weaving, though. I would have thought that would have...
Yeah.
They'd have ruled it out for that.
What's he doing? He wasn't... He couldn't show up for this scene.
Oh, you've gone on Muffley.
You know? Oh, did I?
Yeah, you've got Mike Muffley, John. Oh, hey, John, how you doing?
Okay, well, give it some time. Let's see what happens.
Okay, I'll carry the weight for a little bit.
Yep.
And the Red Skull basically reveals that the Soul Stone is in a pit, and it's a magic pit. And the only way to get the Soul Stone out is to throw the thing you love the most, the person you love the most in, basically. And Gamora basically signs her own death warrant by going, "Ha-ha! I win!" Because it turns out there's nobody you love. Ha-ha! Dramatic irony.
Right. I mean,
hey, Thanos, are you familiar with the
hidden.
concept
Yeah, there's nothing...
of dramatic irony,
Yeah,
Thanos?
I mean, there's no way that no one sees this coming, right?
Right. It is as much sealing the deal as when X-23 borrowed that iPod from that kid in Logan. Like, that killed that kid. This Gamora kills herself.
And there's also... and there's also, like... there's also, like... oh shit, I think I went too far. I triggered some alarms. I could really use you in here.
Oh god, they're purging the data, John. Right, I'm gonna disable the security.
Go nuts.
Sam Foreman says, "Go on then, I'm a broke boy, who dies?" Oh, we are doing spoilers, Sam. Yeah, you won't get away from them here.
We'll get there.
I don't think Sam's seen it yet, though.
Right.
Who dies?
Oh, God, they're purging
Do you know what? You know what? I can tell you, Sam, if you want. I'll just put it this way. You know when you're about to watch a movie and people joke around and they go, "Ha! Everybody dies." It's very nearly almost true about this one. Alright, let's extract. We got 2 data packages. This should let us finish the mission.
Yeah. But yeah, like, when Gamora goes, you're like, "Oh, you don't love anybody. There's no way this is gonna work for you." Blah, 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 blah. She might as well just said, I'm 5 days away from retirement.
And then Thanos picks her up and throws her down the pit with a tear in his eye, and as she falls, you could just hear the orchestra go, wah, wah, wah. It is actually a really, like, yes, it is very obvious.
It's sad. It is a sad scene. But it's also another scene that kind of like, oh fuck, like Thanos is all right. He's all right. You know,
he's sad about it.
Issues, but yeah, I mean.
So yeah, Thanos, and that's it. That's our first, like, since Loki, I think that's our first death, right?
Yeah, big death. Yeah.
And I'm fairly sure they, like, the thing is, I don't, I don't think that that they would kill her off in a non-Guardians movie permanently, but
right.
I have to say, it would be very unsatisfying if they undid that, because I feel like that is a cosmic sacrifice. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not the kind of thing you should be able to go back on. That particular one. But then also killing her off...
Tiny Best Secret says, see, that annoyed me so much. What did? I'd like to know.
I know the answer to this, actually. But I'll let her explain. So then Thanos has the Soul Stone. At this point, like, how many stones does he have at this point? Because he already had the one from the Tesseract. That's the...
The only thing he's missing now is the Time Stone and Mind, yeah.
Time and Mind. So, then we have one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is, on board the spaceship, we kind of glossed over this, but Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange, they do have a lot of stuff to do on the spaceship, but not much of it is plot pivotal for a while. They get together, right. Tony Stark realizes they're there, they rescue Doctor Strange from being prisoner on the spaceship and kill one of the henchmen, but the spaceship's basically still heading also to nowhere. And they basically...
It's heading to Titan.
To Titan, sorry, yeah. And they basically decide... you pick the next mission, by the way. They decide what they should do is... rather than going back...
How's my voice, by the way? Am I still muffly?
You are still muffly.
Okay,
rather
let's
than
wait
trying
then
to...
a little bit before we jump into a mission.
Okay. So I'll keep talking. Rather than trying to stop the spaceship, what they'll do is they will try and catch Thanos by surprise by being aboard the spaceship when it arrives free and ready to fight. Doctor Strange is not exactly fond of the idea. Tony Stark thinks it's the best idea they've got. Spider-Man just does what he's told. And meanwhile, Doctor Strange makes a promise. He makes a promise that if it comes down to stopping Thanos from getting the Time Stone, or saving Tony Stark's life or Spider-Man's life, it's the Time Stone. Mm-hmm. He makes that very clear. If it's a choice between saving Iron Man or saving the stone, it's the stone.
Yeah.
And meanwhile...
And it's all for one, and one for stone. Sorry.
Tiny Bit Secret says, because it was like, even though everything he did in their childhood was wrong, he still loved her, but that's not true. I know it's only a movie and doesn't need to be true, but still, I hate this thing of bad guys always needing to be redeemed. Right, so like the idea of, he was a kidnapper, you know, but he still gets to, in the movie of love. But that doesn't bother me so much, because I think it's about how he feels, not necessarily being... Like, I agree it doesn't justify his actions or redeem his actions to me. In fact, one of the things I think the movie's very good at is it makes Thanos' motivations understandable and makes the character, to some extent, followable without condoning him, I think.
Right.
Oh, that's better. You sound great.
Okay.
So, we get one of my favorite scenes. So that spaceship's heading for Titan with Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man on, and they've decided they're going to take the fight to Thanos straight out of the ship. Meanwhile...
Hell yeah.
The Guardians of the Galaxy have also decided that they're going to go to Titan and take the fight to Thanos.
Yeah.
And they both arrive there at basically the same time, where they mistake each other for Thanos' agents and just start beating the crap out of each other. And be like, let's just fight. In a fight that takes a misunderstanding that takes hilariously slightly longer than it should to clear up.
Right.
But it is very enjoyable. Because it's always fun to see people kicking ass. And eventually they figure things out and they decide that what they will do is they will also fight Thanos together when he arrives. They will basically set a trap for Thanos. And Doctor Strange does something which people have mentioned this, but I think this is like hugely pivotal in a bigger way. A lot of people talk about this like it's just a cool thing that happens. I think this is hugely significant.
I think so too.
Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to see future outcomes, to try and see, basically, what futures are there in which they win and how did they do it. And he basically comes back and he says that he saw 14 million, I think it was, versions of the future.
Yeah.
And they only won in one of them. Which I get they want to be melodramatic, but that's still really dumb. Mm-hmm. If there was an infinite number of alternate timelines, sure. Did he just get to the first one and then be like, alright, found one. I won't look at the rest of those. But anyway, there's only one alternate possible timeline in which they win, he says. And then they set their trap, basically. Meanwhile, on Earth... Well, actually, you know, at this point, I'm almost certain some more of the Forge stuff and Earth stuff's happened, so I'll pick a level and you take over?
Sure. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm just changing up my mods here.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I haven't leveled up that much because I lost all my upgrades after that big, long...
Ouch.
Well, I didn't lose all my upgrades. All the stuff I'd earned in that big, long defense level we did, I lost. Okay. I'll carry on then. I'll let you do your mods. I'll carry on. So...
yeah, keep going.
So, while this has been going on, two things have basically been happening. Captain America and the Black Widow and Bruce Banner and that group have taken Vision to Wakanda to meet with Black Panther's sister, whose name I forget, but is the best character in Black Panther. Shuri, that's her name. To see if they can figure out a way to remove the stone from Vision's mind without killing him. She thinks it's possible to do, but it's a slow process. They set about doing it because they know that the henchmen that were with them in Scotland are basically heading this way to try and take the stone. The Wakandans basically build a defensive force. They try to get a team an army together to defend Wakanda from attack while Vision's having this procedure done. Mm-hmm. That might come in a little bit later, but that's basically what's going on with their plot. Their plot is the smallest and the most simple, which is why I think most of those characters are going to be... They're basically putting those characters on the back burner for the next film, I think. That side of the Avengers, which is okay. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Thor, Rocket, and Groot have traveled to the Space Forge, where they meet... the dwarf, played by Peter Dinklage. Good casting. Yeah. He's a dwarf. Not much else to say about him. He's a giant.
Except he's a giant. Yeah.
They go
Which
to the...
makes it the best.
It's so clever. They go to the forge, but when they get there, they find it's basically... it's off, basically. It's closed for business. Yeah. When they get in there, they find that Thanos has actually been there already, and that this is quite a nice little tying up of two plot points as well. The Forge also made the gauntlet. Thanos basically had him make the gauntlet, Peter Dinklage, and after he'd made the gauntlet, he basically wrecked his hands, so they couldn't make anything else.
Yep.
And then there's... I didn't think about it at the time, but then he goes, but basically I've got a mold... We could just pop that right in, you know, a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of blackcurrant maybe, and You
Yeah,
gotta,
we're good.
tasty. So, basically, the next little bit of plot, it's very fun, it's very nicely done, but it's not hugely complicated. They discover they have this mold, but they need to get the forge hot enough to melt the metal they need to make it, which means they need to channel all the power of a star into this forge. Basically, they do this by Thor essentially holding a door open while a star blasts the full energy of a star at them. And they run the forge, and I'm going to cut to the end of this plot because it's pretty simple. We'll get... Thor makes a giant axe, basically, with the power of his hammer.
This is all... I do want to mention this because it's one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. Because, okay, there's been plenty of jokes in this, in a way. Not like flat-out jokes, but kind of like just humorous, like, interactions between people. This is one of the first, like, straight-on jokes in the movie. Peter Dinklage's character goes... one second.
He goes, 1 second, then he just goes quiet.
Sorry, no. Peter Dinklage's character goes... I can't remember his name, but Peter Dinklage's character goes... It's like, oh, we have to restart the star, and someone has to open up the vent, so... That, and Thor's like, I'll do it. It's like, but he'll kill you. And Thor responds, only if I die.
Yeah.
English character goes,
that's what killing you means.
That's what killing you means.
It's a very Ragnarok. One of the things this film does very well is when you're spending time with a certain group, it feels like one of their movies. So, for example, the first time you see the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's playing a mixtape style song.
Yeah.
Oh, they only do it once. They don't overdo it.
Mr. Rubber Band Man, right?
Yes. They don't overdo it. There aren't songs every time you hear the Guardians, every time they're around. But when you see them for the first time, it's playing a Guardians type song. And then Thor absolutely has his sense of humor from Ragnarok. They do some nice bits with it. Rocket has that scene where he's like, all right, time to be the captain. And he tries to, like, do the comforting boss routine on Thor. But Thor's just basically like, well, everyone I know has died. Everyone I love has killed. What about your mother? Dead. But he's still doing it with that kind of sense of humor to it.
Right.
Thor's scenes feel like a continuation of Ragnarok, for sure. And the Guardians movies, they do a good job with that. And then there's an interesting scene, actually. Like, I hate to say it, the purpose of the scene is give Groot something to do, but it's actually a really nice scene. When the job is done, the process of making the axe kills Thor pretty much. He is dying. But as we know, the powers imbued in the hammer can bring him back to life in the past. You know, his power is invested in the hammer, and the weapons have power and stuff. Yeah. So the Peter Dinklage is like, he's got to hold the axe, but the axe doesn't have a handle yet. So Groot actually turns his arm into a handle, and then cuts his own arm off, and makes it the handle for the new weapon. In what I thought was actually a really nice scene. And it's kind of the first time Groot's got engaged in things, because the gag in this movie is that Groot is actually a sulky teenager. Who's obsessed with a video game he won't stop playing. Which was an interesting... like, I think putting Teen Groot in this movie makes sense, because, like, by the time we get to the next movie, I'd like him to be adult Groot again. Or something like that.
Did you see that, what James Gunn said about it?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, go over here. There's an elevator. No, he basically says that, you know, that Groot's dead. Like, this isn't the same Groot. Like,
yeah,
the Groot from the first one is dead. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about Baby Groot is, I like Baby Groot. It was good for that film, right?
Oh,
but
Baby Groot's great.
You wouldn't want 2 movies of Baby Groot, though. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And Teen Groot, you wouldn't even want 1 Guardians movie of Teen Groot. him being Teen Groot for the duration of this movie is perfect, because it's funny, but the joke doesn't outstay its welcome at all, you know?
So we have to do 10 waves here. I have
that's
to
cool.
for a mission.
No, that's fine, I can live with that. So I think that's quite a nice scene for him. Because Groot is not a very important character in this movie. He's in it. He's there. If you like Groot, he's there. But he does. That's his role in this movie does kind of feel a little bit like it's something he was given to do, and yet it works in that scene. So I kind of like that. So Thor
Did we ever
has
say what he does?
yeah, he makes a handle for the hammer out of his body.
Right.
And that scene. I think we're a bit tied up chronologically, but until the end now, that's pretty much Thor's plot dealt with.
Yeah. Yep.
But he does mention, Peter Dinklage, he does mention that the weapons he makes here, the most powerful weapon he's working on, would have the power to summon the Bifrost. He does actually say that, which is worth mentioning, because that
but I
will come up
still
later.
think it's a little convenient.
Oh,
right?
it is. It absolutely is. It completely and totally is. Meanwhile, Captain America and that group are fighting monsters, basically. And then Iron Man. Oh, and this is a scene I like. Thanos does go to Titan, and he does. He does basically spring the trap. Although, it's Iron Man who talks to him first, isn't it? And he kind of screws up by saying "we" and revealing that there are more of them.
Right.
And this is the kind of scene where I think Peter Quill really kind of messes up. Obviously,
he blows it.
He completely blows it. They basically throw everything they have at Thanos. And this is Drax,
and they have
Mantis.
them. They actually have them.
This is Drax, Mantis, like... Doctor Strange, everybody. And they win the fight. They contain him. Partly with Mantis's power, which, as we established in the last movie, she can make a planet go to sleep.
Right.
So she puts the sleeping thing on Thanos and kind of dopes him up. And they are basically trying to remove that gauntlet. And they're doing it. The gauntlet is coming off. But Quill is just concerned with where Gamora is. And unfortunately, he gets his answer at just the wrong time. And decides now would be a good time to punch Thanos in the face. How do you feel about this scene? This is a scene I'm not entirely sure.
Well, I liked it. I liked it when it was Iron Man and Thanos talking, because we get more of this this sort of thing where, okay, and this is where I want to address what Tiny Best Secret says, like, why do villains need to be redeemed? I don't think he is redeemed.
No.
At any point he is redeemed. I think he's sympathetic. He comes off as sort of sympathetic. Because as Owen said, like, he has been obsessed with this plan of his that he's going to kill, or not even kill, eliminate half the population of the universe. This is what he spent his entire life on, and he's gotten to the point that he's so obsessed with it, and you kind of see why he's obsessed with it in this point, because it's his planet. This is where he was from, and he told them, like, hey, we need to do something to save ourselves, or we're going to all die. And he comes up with a very bold and psychotic plan, but it's a plan. And to give him credit, and I hate to say it this way, like, give him credit, it wasn't like he's like, oh, we're gonna save only these people.
Right, he emphasizes that he wanted to do it completely without prejudice or
randomly. He wanted it to be
privilege
random.
or Which, by the way, is what he does. He stands by that commitment.
Right. So what you get is, I don't think he's necessarily redeemable. I think it's a case of he is static, which is different to me. I think it's different.
No, I'd agree.
Yeah.
But I think Tiny Bear's Secret's point was specifically in relation to Gamora. The combining of like the writing of yes, the sacrifice works because there is someone he loves, but it's talking about someone that he kidnapped and murdered their family. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
But I'm with you on it.
The thing is like, I still don't think that's like redeems him for what he's done.
No.
I think it's just another example to show that he's lost his damn mind. He's lost his damn mind to he has absolutely lost his mind because of this plan.
But it's also, I think it's very important to mention, and this is something that I think is most interesting about Thanos. While Thanos' henchman does mention that if he comes back without the stone, if it's still attached to Doctor Strange, he'll be in trouble. Thanos is very much not with... He doesn't seem too often in the film to work through vengeance or anger.
Right.
His sole purpose is his mission, which he doesn't dilute with his own personal prejudices, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And what's interesting about that is his mission is absolutely monstrous. But that purity of it makes him a more interesting character. His total devotion to his...
I think so too as well.
His own total ethical standard, which at the same time is a completely, totally unethical thing to do. But his devotion to the complete and total ethical interpretation of this hideous genocide is fascinating, I think.
Yeah. I want to go so far as to say like it's like admirable, but in a weird way, it's like, you know, he's like when he says that it takes person with his will to do it, and he proves through the whole movie that he is the one who has the will to get it done. Which is, it's kind of nice, not nice, but it's a villain that, you know, backs up his talk, you know?
Right. And I think the people who say stuff like, why doesn't he just make the universe so that nobody has to die, don't understand that he's not supposed to be sane.
Right.
He's not supposed to be rational. He's supposed to be the villain because he is blinded to the fact that what he wants to do is completely monstrous by the fact that he feels like his own history vindicated him.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be rational. But that purity of concept makes it difficult to see him as crazy as he actually is. Because he is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is
He's
like,
such a good
oddly
villain.
enough, yeah, he is. And the thing is, I saw another comparison to him. Someone referred to him as like a space Hitler, and he's not.
No.
He's not a space Hitler because, like, you know, Hitler was motivated completely by power and a prejudice, right? He demanded, he wanted power, and he got it. He achieved his power by we gotta stay.
Yeah.
And he achieved his power by using his prejudice, you know, for him. You know, Thanos doesn't have a prejudice.
No.
In a weird way, he has no desire for power either.
Right, he only wants the power to achieve this goal that he feels is selfless.
Right. Like, the funny thing is, I don't know if he necessarily considers himself the hero, but he does consider himself I
think he sees himself as a martyr. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has to sacrifice his own soul, really. His own ethics. I mean, he says, right at the end of the movie, just to cut ahead a little bit, He has a vision of baby Gamora, child Gamora saying, you know, and what did it cost you? And he says everything.
Yeah.
I think that's at the end of the movie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it absolutely is. I know exactly what time it is. No, and then you also hear like what his plans are after he's done when he's talking to Tony. Like his plan isn't to rule the galaxy. It's he wants to watch the sunrise on a new universe while he's sitting down and resting to finally rest. He wants to he just wants to stop. He doesn't want to keep going. And when he's done, he's not going to. He's going to just relax. Oddly enough. Which the funny thing is, like, this I think might be the most makes him at the same time of being one of the most sympathetic villains, also makes him one of the most relatable villains. Because how many people do you know just want to stop? They just don't want to fucking toil anymore. They just want to. I mean, it's the whole concept of retirement. That's what it is, you know?
The whole concept of Thanos, for me, is that he sees himself as the weary keeper of a burdensome duty.
Right. You know, he's the watcher on the wall, you know?
Right.
So yeah, anyways, we get with the fight. They almost get him. Peter Quill fucks it up. Thanos snaps out of his trance because he got punched in the face, which fair enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were doing well to get him as under as they did. Yes. And he still doesn't kill anybody, to be fair. Like, he doesn't take vengeance.
Right, he has no desire to kill them. Like, that's the thing.
Although here we get...
not in that way.
Here we get our ultimate fake-out, designed for photos to spread in spoiler threads, as I saw. Thanos stabs Iron Man.
Yep.
And so, here's the question. Did you think he was going to die? Because I'd heard so much about, Iron Man's going to die. You know?
You know, the funny thing is, I did, when the movie first got announced and you started hearing the stuff that was going on behind the scenes and whatnot, I was like, okay, yeah, clearly, you know, we will get to our theory section of our debate later, but it absolutely does play into into a theory of mine.
Yeah, mine too.
But I got the feeling, like, okay, no. I did not think he was going to die in this because, you know, this happens at hour 2 of the movie when, like, Thanos stabs.
Do you know how I knew he wasn't going to die? Because the minute Doctor Strange said, if it comes to me at the stone or you, that was him saying, no, I will do the opposite.
Yeah.
Which he does. Doctor Strange basically says, if you spare him...
I have theories about this as well.
Me too. Oh, me too. I'm not a very detailed theory, but I have one specific theory.
I think it's... I'll just say it right now. I think this is absolutely what...
Yes.
I think this is what Doctor Strange saw. Yeah, this is what he saw.
He
saw...
He
realizes, like, this is how they win.
Well, he says it was the only way afterwards. Well, just to explain what happens, Doctor Strange gives Thanos the Time Stone in exchange for letting Tony Stark live. And then he says to Tony, it was the only way. Which, like, I don't think you're necessarily supposed to connect those dots immediately, but it's very clear that is the future he saw where they win. He has to do that to comply, because, you know, he was so adamant.
Right.
Thanos then takes the stone and he goes to join the battle, which has been raging for quite some time, by the way. And they've been kind of winning. kind of
they're
losing.
all right.
It's been going okay. They're all joined the battle. Vision's involved. They haven't managed to remove Vision's stone yet, and Vision has made Wanda promise that if it comes to it, very similar to Quill, if it comes to it, she will destroy the stone while it's still in his head. And she
Which
promises.
she has the ability to because her powers come from the stone as well.
Yes. The battle's been going how it's going. Thanos appears, and they have to do it. They don't have time. And this is something I think is going to play into the next movie. They do very frequently say, we're out of time. Time is a theme in this movie. Not having enough time, it being too late, there isn't time. That's my theory for the next movie, by the way.
Right.
But Thanos is coming, and he's coming for the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Wanda starts to destroy it, and it's a slow process, but she does. And it's kind of brutal, because this is the man she loves.
Yeah.
And she's basically having to destroy his brain. And she does. She smashes it. Totally trashes it. And then Thanos, because he has a time stone, just goes and turns time back and takes it. Which, thank you, by the way, to the writers of Infinity War for remembering that that's what the time stone does.
Yeah.
Don't just give him it and then forget that he can do that now. But again, I also feel obliged to point out, as soon as he got that time stone, like, he needs the Mind Stone even less now. I know he wants it to do it instantly, but, like, again, like, even if they destroyed that Mind Stone, he would still go do everything he was gonna do.
Right, like, they could have gone away with that if they would have just, like, all they needed, like, was one line of dialogue to say, like, okay, having all the stones together unlocks, like, the super weapon or something like that, you know?
Or just say, like, just have someone say, as long as he doesn't have all 6, there's a chance. If he has all 6, he is unstoppable. He can still kill a lot of people with 5. But at 6, there isn't even a weakness at 6. At 6, he is God, right? But they do say he needs all 6, but then they just show him doing all kinds of stuff with 5 that is unstoppable also.
Right.
So he turns back time, he gets the stones, and...
Turn back time.
Oh, yeah, somewhere around this point, Thor joined the battle.
That would have been great. If I'm sorry, I got sidetracked there, but if when he uses the time stone, the next thing you see is him just in a fishnet bodysuit, surrounded by sailors.
Back time.
If I could find a way. I would have loved it. I would have loved it. As stupid as it would have been.
No, it would have been great.
It would have, I would have loved it.
He picks up Quill's Walkman and it's on there. Like, doo-doo. I love this song.
This is a good one. I will spare her. I will spare her. which would prove all the jokes true, that the only thing that survives a nuclear war are cockroaches and Cher. And
but you'd have to have
apparently
balance.
Also Thanos.
He would have to have balance, so he'd have to make it half of Cher.
Like, well, she already lost Sonny.
So, I should mention at this point, Thor did join the battle with his axe.
Yeah.
And
which could magically teleport him there.
He basically this is really like it's a lot of pomp and circumstance.
He saves the fucking day. Like he single-handedly takes care of that army.
Yes, he does. But when he gets to Thanos, it's a lot of pomp and circumstance for what is basically too late. Because Thanos gets all the Infinity Stones. He pops them in the gauntlet, and Thor goes, "Huh, maybe I should hit him with my axe." So he finally, he hits Thanos with the axe. Vision dies quite horribly, by the way. He has the Mind Stone wrenched from his head and turns grey. And then Thor hits Thanos with the axe, and then Thanos just goes...
In the chest.
Yeah, in the chest. And then Thanos just goes, yeah, but I got all these now, so I can just make myself alive, and also, bye! And he disappears.
Well, the funny thing is, he actually suggests that Thor could have killed him. If he
take his head.
One line. Yeah, he goes, you should have went for the head. All right,
Yeah.
we can extract now.
And then we get the big ending, the big surprise ending. I knew this was basically how it was going to end. Like, I didn't know the details, but I knew that it was going to end. Like, I mean, it's 2 movies. Everyone knows it's going to end with Thanos winning, you know? I didn't think they were going to do the whole, well, we haven't finished fighting Thanos yet. You know what I mean? Like, they were going to... Because this is not... like, the one thing I have to say in this movie is... Like, I like this film a lot, but one thing I really want to say about it in its defense... I say in its defense, as a good point is, this is not like Mockingjay or Deathly Hallows. This is a complete movie. Even though it ends... Right. I wouldn't even call where it ends a cliffhanger, strictly speaking. It does end in a way where there's... Right. It has an ending, and that ending, while they don't win... That's the ending. The ending is they lose.
Yeah.
It has this is a complete film.
Right, because if you had switched roles, right? If you had switched roles where if Thor or Captain America had got their hands on the gauntlet, you know, that movie ends the same. Where it's it would be an all-powerful
Thor destroys half of all life in the universe, and everyone's like, "Shit! Well, he was right."
What I'm saying, like,
he won me over.
Like, had you know, he makes a good point. Just that bastard was right.
Smart Dogs 202 in the chat says, "I wish they would have done one of the scenes that leads on to the next one like they usually do." They did.
Yeah, they do.
It was in there.
Did you not wait for the credits?
It leads into not the next movie, but the one after.
Yeah, and I think we will get to this when we get to theories, but what Owen was saying, this is a complete movie, and it absolutely is, because if you remove the fact that Thanos is the one who has the gauntlet, he snaps his fingers, and half of the universe is killed, had it been another hero character who snapped his fingers and Thanos disappeared, it would end on the same note. The same plot line would be done.
But then Thanos gets his way.
But the bad guy wins in this movie. He does.
And
you get some really heartfelt moments of everyone disappearing.
Yeah. Now, we talked about this before. The characters who are left are Captain America, Black Widow,
Iron Man,
and
Thor.
Hulk, and Thor.
Yeah. The original Avengers.
The original line of the Avengers. I think that's going to be...
We imagine Hawkeye maybe made... who knows?
Yeah, neither Hawkeye nor Ant-Man are actually in this movie, which was... there was speculation about that for a while. Kevin Feige did say Hawkeye not being in this movie is the best thing to ever happen to him. Which now I've seen the movie could mean 2 things. It could mean, 1, he's got a really, really, really great part in the next movie. Or it could mean, if he'd been in this movie, he absolutely would have been getting dissolved.
Right. Or worse, right?
Right.
There has not been a character that has such a fatalist, trapping around him since Hawkeye in these movies. Every single movie that he's in, they hint that he is going to die.
Well, giving him that family... Giving him that family really, really put a bullseye on his back, didn't it?
Right.
And some of those families are almost certainly going to have dissolved. I also think I know how Ant-Man's basically gonna... Because I see... Well, we'll talk about this in a moment, but... sorry, I don't want to jump ahead. But yes, half the characters dissolve.
I think I lost you.
Pardon? Oh, John might have lost us. Hopefully you can still hear the stream, people. This might be John's internet going. Hey, John, you still with us? Well, the stream's still working, so... This happens sometimes. Please bear with me for a moment. Yeah, we lost John. I'm going to try and re-add him. Okay. Yeah, that's what's going on. The stream's still going. You left the previous party due to a network error. Okay, it looks like this might be my party. Looks like there was a little hiccup in the network that killed my my party. I'm going to create my party fresh, re-add John, and you'll be able to hear him again in a moment. At least the stream is still working. So I'm going to talk about this because John's watching the stream, so he'll be able to hear me. while I'm trying to get a party going. But I have a theory that Ant-Man is now going to go one of two ways, because they've said that Ant-Man and the Wasp is set before... Cannot connect to server within the time limit. Oh, the PlayStation Network might be having a little bit of an issue. Let me just see if I can do anything online here. Hold on, let's see what we can do here. So while I'm trying to get this working again, I'm going to see if I can send John an invite. I think the PlayStation Network's just had a little bit of a hiccup. In which case it, yeah, could not deliver invitation to jcrizzle12. Okay. Looks like we're having a little bit of an issue here. The problem is I can't switch this up. Let me just check and see if my my network is actually working. I'm still signed in, I guess. Which is a little tricky. I'm just going to give it a moment. I'll say what I think about Ant-Man, and I'll try and get John back in here when we can. So I see Ant-Man going basically one of two ways now. Either they're going to... it's basically going to be completely unconnected to Infinity War, and then right at the end, or in the post-credits scene, someone's going to dissolve, basically, as many characters do at the end of Infinity War. Or they're going to go completely the other way, and then when we get to the end of Ant-Man, we're going to find out that Ant-Man was actually in some pivotal scene in Infinity War, but teeny tiny. And I kind of think they'd go with either. I think both would be kind of cool. If Ant-Man for the most part is not... It feels like it's not connected to Infinity War, and then towards the end you find out that what they've been working on is actually going to be pivotally important, and Ant-Man's on board the ship or something like that, I'd kind of like that. We'll have to see. Okay, let's see if I can get John back here. I actually think what we're having here is the PlayStation Network's having a little bit of a hiccup. I hope we get it sorted out, because we've basically mostly been just playing and going through the plot of Infinity War. We haven't talked too much about the film except to just relay it. This is not working at the moment. What I'm going to suggest, John, is if you are watching, if you make a party that I can join on your end, we'll try that. If you try and invite me, that might work. John says, I'm still online. It says that you aren't. Well, that's interesting, because I am still online. According to this. Oh, great. See, the problem is, I may have to restart my PS4 to fix this. Spartak says, which would end the stream. Yep, pretty much. Autorado Water says, I hear you. Yep, you'll be able to hear me. Hearing me is fine. So I'm kind of on my own at the moment. It looks like I'm not connected to the PSN properly, which is mildly annoying. I wonder if I can put up the store. I doubt it. Okay, well I definitely have the connection working, because obviously the stream's still working. John says, damn it, we're just about to the fun theory section of the show. Yeah. Well, that's working. The problem is the network is clearly working. It's just the PSN bit that doesn't seem to be working for me. Anything PlayStation Network is not really working out. Tiny Pet Secret says, your network connection disappeared as if Thanos snapped his fingers. Yeah, I'm having an issue here. it's basically not connecting to any PSM functions on my end, which is really irritating. Alright, I think I'm going to have to restart my PlayStation, so I'll tell you what. I'll give it one last go to set up a party. And then I'm going to have to restart, and I'll re-invite John, and we'll get the stream going again, and we'll pick up for a little bit longer, I guess, rather than just sitting here doing nothing. I'm just going to let the party give one last chance, so I do apologize. Minor disruption here. Hopefully it won't take too long to fix it. Yeah, okay, that's not working. Right, I'm going to have to restart it. I do apologize. We'll be back in a moment. When we do streams from the PS4 like this, though, they don't restart on the same screen. So you're going to want to go back to the chat